Stop right there. It's 2026 and like the hater, I want to start the year off giving you anxiety about your favorite prospects by exposing their flaws. So sit back, relax, and watch me cook. Let's start first with the controversial Olympic British light heavyweight in Ben Whittaker. I'm not gonna pick the easy route and say he lacks heart after his Royal Rumble elimination of Liam Cameron. I'm actually gonna challenge his good defense because I think it's predictable. Allow me to elaborate. Ben, just like many in this generation, have a bad Philly shell. You see, the whole mechanics that goes into using a counter-punching guard like the Philly shell is to block with the rear guard and pair with the lead shoulder, known as the shoulder roll. Not to mention have excellent upper body movement. Ben got the upper body movement and the rear guard block, but is missing the shoulder roll, which is imperative to have as it's an essential part of the Philly shell defense. Otherwise, your chance of eating a meat right is higher than most. Another flaw of his is that he has bad inside game. He bends towards his opponent, and since he knows he's not comfortable using the Philly shell on the inside, he ditches it to use an unguarded high guard. Why do I call it unguarded despite it being a high guard? It's cause him bending forward with it leaves his ribs wide open like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Before y'all start typing in the comments, I fight, so I know what I'm talking about. And I fight at lightweight. He fights at light heavyweight. I'm 5'5", he's 6'3". I ain't trying to end up like Jake Paul. So cut off your umbilical cords and understand that this is for educational purposes only. Now, let's move on to another extremely popular prospect. Curmel Moton is the youngest of the group, so keep in mind, he's very wet behind the ears. A small thing that I've noticed is that he tends to react to body jabs with punches, which leaves his head wide open. He also fights in a squared stance, which is good for inside work, but it allows fighters to escape laterally, which has happened on numerous occasions. And unlike Mike Tyson, Moton's feet are so rooted to the ground in this position, which means he can catch you on the escape. It also makes him easier to hit as his head would be on the center line. Granted, he uses his head movement in this range, but nobody's perfect, and something that is guaranteed despite his head movement is that he could get his momentum halted with a jab to the body. And we already talked about how he reacts to those. Moton also has a bad habit of leaping and falling in with the shots a lot, which are both bad because if you get timed, then you won't be able to recover your feet just in time to defend said shot. Trust me, he does this a lot. And the other dangerous part about this is that he can't help it because he's getting big very quick. In just 8 fights, he fought in 4 separate weight classes starting from 126 and even as close as 140. Meaning, he'll fight tall people who force him to make these mistakes and are big enough to punish him when he does so. Trust me, I'm a big fan of how he fights, which is why I suspect that against southpaws he does his worst, looking from his last amateur fight against Zaquan Moses and how he spars. Worst is he's not even getting that much experience to fix these flaws because of his inactivity. In 2 years as a pro, he's only had 8 fights, which is very small for a prospect. Best I stop before the flow moves flood my comment section. Instead of wondering the amount of weight and experience he will get before entering title contention, let's shift to someone who is in title contention, Andy Cruz. Yeah, he's not being Keyshawn in the pros. Now don't get me wrong, when I first saw him, his first 3 fights, I thought he was the next Lomachenko. And 3 fights since, I lost hope. Weirdly enough, unlike other prospects who gain experience and Moton who gains weight, Cruz is actually getting worse the more experience he's getting in the pros. Instead of progressing, he's regressing. First 3 fights, Cruz was twitchy, had a great head movement and an overall dynamic defense that made him hard to catch. Now, his head is on the center line and he barely moves it, making it easier for his ops to target his head. He's no longer twitchy and therefore gets rid of the intimidation factor he had before. He went from having a dynamic and proactive defense, which I know, big words, but this basically means dodging a punch you anticipate in a multitude of ways, to now having a static defense by holding up an inactive high guard and relying on basic defense by mostly blocking. Andy Cruz also had angles as an orthodox fighter. He used to be fast on his feet, but now he's more flat-footed and doesn't use angles no more. Instead, just opts to just back up in a straight line. And his offense, before he had volume, now he just always looked for the right hand. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. Like, I was about to blame it on Bosianis, but Boots was slick in his last 2 fights, proving to me that weight was real an issue before that. Really curious to see how he'll do on the 24th. Anyways, moving on to someone that will fight a week after him is a potential future opponent of 2 times undisputed champion Naoya Inoue, the Brownsville bully Bruce Shushu Carrington. Bruce is a fun counterpuncher to watch. Heck, I'll talk more about him in the video after this, which will be about the different types of counterpunchers, but he has a simple flaw that just irks me and has left him very vulnerable before. I say he's disabled because, well, he doesn't use his jab much. Like, I'm not joking, his jab on average are on the single digits per round, and that flaw is why he does so bad against southpaws. People are more focused on the rear hand in orthodox v southpaw matchups, but forget the lead hand is just as important, as it allows you to set up the rear hand by giving you lead foot advantage. And since Shushu barely uses it, this allows the southpaw he fights to dominate the lead hand and lead foot battle. And when that happens, he holds an inactive hard guard leaning to the southpaw's rear hand. Nothing more I can say. I mean, that's the most simple flaw, which has the biggest consequences. I just hope Top Rank can make him fight more southpaws so he can work on his lead hand activity. Now, on to our last prospect to expose. Unlike everyone on this list, he has the most potential to be the best in his weight class, Moses Itauma. This is probably the last year we can call Itauma a prospect, as he's at the door of title contention and even rejected the IBF's nomination for him to be a title eliminator in order to become Usyk's mandatory. I mean, no shit, he just turned 21. So before he eventually does get into the title picture, let's talk about flaws that can be exploited by more experienced fighters. Itauma's defense is good, but a crucial mistake to make is by keeping his head on the center line when stepping back. Not to mention his lead hand is low while doing so. It doesn't even end there. When throwing the jab to the body, his head is still in the center line. I can see him getting hit by either a faster fighter on his way out or when he stab jabs. He can also get caught by someone experienced to take advantage of such flaw. I had the same problem with Inoue, but he improved this by stepping out with his head out of the center line. So tweaks can be made, but something that's rather more interesting is Itauma's guard in his stance. Itauma is a southpaw with a Philly shell. Why is that a problem? Because using the shoulder roll means turning your head to the alignment of your orthodox opponent's right hand. Orthodox Philly shell users use the rear hand to parry jabs and block hooks. As a southpaw, if your lead hand is that low, then you have to parry with your rear hand, which means taking away the only line of defense against looping rights. And also, the position of the feet makes lead hooks easier to land. That's about all the weaknesses we're going to cover today. This is the 3rd installment of this series. Haven't done it in a whole year. And y'all voted for this, so make sure to hit the like button, sub up, and comment. For the build up for Inoue vs Nakatani on early May, even correct, we will finally break down the tactics Inoue used against different southpaws. Anyways, my name is Ike the Giant Killer, and until next time, peace.